All right, so here we have the list of websites for the currently logged in user. Actually, it's always returning the same one regardless of who logs in. It returns the same ones. So the server is not filtering any of this, right? So let's fix that now. Let's go back to the server implementation of the service, right? And for this to work, we'll need to add some additional meta information here about the owner of each website. Okay, so perhaps we'll say that if Alice logs in, I think Alice's ID is 123 and Bob's is 234. I don't remember. We'll say that this website belongs to a developer whose ID is 123. All right, so these two websites will say that belong to Alice. Oops. Oh, I guess I need to copy the whole thing. And these two belong to Bob. So we're treating these as if they were foreign keys, right, that are going to be pattern matched against user IDs. Make sense? All right, so now we can go back to the service server, right, and instead of returning all the list of the entire list of websites, we can just do the filtering here, which we used to do this on the client side, right? I think that was part of the previous assignment, right, to iterate and filter this on the client side, but instead we're going to do it on the server. And in the next assignment, we're not going to do filter anything. We're going to ask just the database, right? Let the database do the join, right, where the two collections meet, right, and do the filtering for us. For now, we're going to do the filtering ourselves by hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a subset of websites, an empty list of websites, and we're going to iterate through each one of these, and where I is less than websites.length and plus plus. And as we find these, as we find each one of the websites, you know, if websites sub I dot underscore ID matches the actually no, not the ID, the developer ID, right? Developer ID. If it matches the user ID, then we want to add it to our local list of websites. We want to push the website sub I. Websites sub I. All right, and then we want to return the list of our local websites, which is a subset of the entire list. Okay, make sense? All right. All right, so let's restart the server. Okay, and now if I now log in as 456, I don't know who that is, right? It comes back with an empty list of websites. But if I log in as 123, it comes back with only two of them, Facebook and Twitter. If I log in as 234, it then becomes just Amazon and Wikipedia, right? Now they're filtered by user depending on how I log in. Let's try that. If I log in as Alice and I go to websites, I see Facebook and Twitter. Instead, if I log in as Bob, right, and I go see my websites, then I have Amazon and Wikipedia. Right? That makes sense? Right, we moved the filter that used to be implemented on the client. We've moved it over to the server. Next week we'll move it to the database, right, where it's supposed to live at some point. Make sense? Right. So today, today's lecture is all about knowing how to interact, how to expose data to the server, how to interact with the incoming requests with path parameters, query parameters, body data that comes in, right, and be able to deal with it and manipulate some data model. All right? Okay. So the next thing is being able to perhaps retrieve an individual website. Right now we're retrieving a list of websites. We might want to edit a particular website. We might want to remove a website. We might want to be able to change a website or create a brand new website. Okay. So let's deal with some of those issues. Right? Yes.
What are the factors in that
Here? Yeah, so request this function, right, is being invoked by express. Right? So express with the get function allows you to register a URL parameter, a URL pattern, a URL pattern which is going to be listening for from the incoming request, right? Right. So when it gets registered, right, Express says, okay, if I see this URL come in as an HTTP request, I will invoke whatever function you tell me, right? And as a bonus, I will parse everything that is coming from the client in the URL, right, which is here. Notice, look at all the information that is going, right? All this information is going to the server, the URL, the method, all the headers, any cookies, right? All this information is going to the server. All that is parsed by Express, right? And Express provides it to you as the first argument of the function that it calls. You can call that variable whatever you want. It doesn't have to be called REQ, right? But it's the role of that first parameter has everything that it parsed from there, right? And it has its own schema. It has its own one of the sub variables in that object that gets passed to you is a variable called params, okay, which is an array. It's a map of everything that it parsed from the path, right? If instead something was coming in the query, okay, you could have retrieved it using request query. Okay, so this is what Express parses from the path, and it uses the variable that you give it there as the keyword into the map. Whereas this is made available through the query, right? And the keyword here is what it used to look it up in that map, and it returns the value that is parsed in here. Make sense? Right? Plus cookies are there too, headers are there, everything is there. Timestamps, the URL, the IP address of where it came from, right? You know, from the machine that generated this HTTP request. It's also part of the REQ. Yes?
So does the Express internally handle the content negotiation for formats such as XML?
So we are explicitly telling Express that we are sending back JSON. So it will use the content type application/JSON, right? We could have instead used send. Send is a function that knows how to send all sorts of MIME types, right? It'll make a best guess at the MIME type, but you can explicitly say response.set content type, right, and pass the actual content type that you want to use. Yep. Here we're explicitly saying that we want the JSON content type, right, to go back. Right? Excellent questions. All right. So let's now implement a couple more event handlers here to be able to handle different operations. For instance, let's now create a new website, right, from the client, right, and then try to store it in this local list of websites, right. Next week we'll insert it into a database, right. All right, let's do that next.